This is the 10th anniversary, le 10e anniversaire de LUXE. This is our community here in Montreal. We thank you guys. Some of you guys came from out of town. We're really happy that you're here. Some of you here want to learn a little bit more about locking. We're happy that you guys are here. We got some awesome guests to start off our weekend. So I'm going to introduce, first of all, Spicy. She's our lovely speaker for the night. For those of you who don't know, Spicy is part of the original, in the last 10 years of Lock Unity forming. Spicy was there at the beginning when she was representing with Team Lock, right, which was the first incarnation of the locking group here in Montreal. Not counting the old school, like my man Eugene here, and of course TASH, but they're from the very first original era of locking in Montreal, which is like 1970s, 80s. Alright, so you're going to be my speaker, but I'll introduce our guests first. We got, first of all, the lady, the mother of locking in Montreal, right? She's the one that set everything off here from Montreal. I know you inspired so many people. And I don't know, I got a lot of good things to say, but I'll keep it quick. Everybody, you guys all know TASH. Give it up for TASH. Next up, we got somebody who has been a big influence here in Montreal. He's come many times to the city to teach and to share his knowledge. Big influence on me. He's like my Obi-Wan Kenobi, my big brother. we're like the Jedi Order here, so we got some Jedis coming in, but I want to introduce you guys to GEMINI. All the way from France, representing Locking for Life. Amen. And if GEMINI is Obi-Wan Kenobi, I have to also introduce to you guys Yoda. He's the one that influenced me, he influenced GEMINI, he's GEMINI's teacher. He's taught so many people around the world. He's just a wonderful person. I'm so glad he's here. Original locker from the 1980s era, from Los Angeles, California. Please give it up, Richie Rich. You kind of look like Yoda, but it's all good. Alright, so this is up now. You have the mic and have fun.
They've already been introduced, but I just want to say something really quick. How I met them. I was in Vegas. First year I went to Vegas and I was just starting to lock. Tash is my mama. Locking. She taught me everything. And I was in a cipher trying to, my locks were like off. My points were like. And then Richie Rich came to see me and was like, hey, let me give you a few tips. So I never forgot that, Richie. Thank you so much. That was a nice gesture, and I always remember that. That's how I met Richie. GEMINI came to Montreal, and I had known GEMINI and heard of him for so long. And he was teaching, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go take a class. I was telling Tash, yo, GEMINI's in town. It was one of the best classes I've ever taken in my life. Thank you, GEMINI. I want to thank you guys. I'm taking the time to thank you for that. And Tash, there's too much to say. So thank you for your being. So I'm really happy to be here and be the moderator of this incredible panel of beings. They've helped preserve the tradition, culture, and spirit of locking and continue to do so, and also to pass on the culture to the new generation. So we're really, really lucky to have them here with us. So, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about how you started, how you fell in love with locking, maybe what the scene was like when you started, who were your biggest influences. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm going to try to keep it short. I fell in love with locking in 1984. Because of break-in. So for me, that movie was just like the grail. It's like, I have to go to LA, I have to go meet these people, I have to learn this dance. En plus, je parlais français, I was a French, didn't speak a lick of English. So I went to see the movie in theater and I had to see it twice, 3 times to understand the dance. So I saw breaking. Of course I saw Shabadoo do this little thing on top of the building. He was like curly hair, and he was so like, oh my gosh, I need to do this thing. So for me, that was my first, hook. But I didn't realize then that I had been in my house watching Soul Train all these years. My parents used to watch Soul Train. So I would watch all of these episodes and not understanding the dance that they were doing. It was, of course, there was some locking in there. So, and then of course, with Tony Basil, with Mickey used to find, I'd see little hints and glimpses of stuff when I was 10 years old. So at 13, when I stopped breaking, I was like, that dance, I have to learn it. So for me, that was my first influence. But there was nobody locking in Montreal that I knew of. And the funny thing is, I found out later, I thought, oh, we're the first crew ever. Like, when I met my first boyfriend, we used to go roller skating, right? So that was the thing that we did in the 70s. You go to a roller skating rink, or 80s, and you go roller skating, and then there's a stage, and you go break on the stage. That was Palladium here in Montreal, at the Palladium, very metro. So that's what we did with the kids from my neighborhood. But I lived in the ghetto, so we had a little mini roller skating rink that turned into, it was like hockey in the winter and roller skating in the summer. And I went to see a show, and I was performing as a jazz dancer because I took jazz dance class and ballet. So I started dancing at 4. Of course, my name was TASH, you know that. So I saw these 3 guys on stage, 2 black guys, and 1 white guy, and they were just doing that dance. And I was like, oh my God, that's the dance. I want to learn this dance, right? It happened, I saw them, never met them, went back to high school, Henri Bourassa, in the ghetto, Montreal North, and the guys were the bad boys of the school, of course, right? The white guy, sorry guys, but that's what happened, was interested in me all of a sudden. So, and he was the locker in the crew. Actually, he was the better one of the lockers in the crew, which is interesting, right? So he became my boyfriend. He's Jesse's father. Those who know Jesse, my son, the skateboarder, like he's Jesse's father. But so I learned locking from them, but there was no history for us. We're just like learning from what we saw on TV, breaking, fast stuff, whatever shows we've seen. I remember seeing Eugene on TV, but I didn't get it. And he was performing for a big show on stage with 1984.
That's my brother. It was my brother.
You and your brother?
Yeah. That was probably with SPICEY, with the ballet jazz.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I saw that on TV, and they were mixing popping and locking in the show and everything. So there was flashes for us, but there was nothing concrete, so you couldn't get information at all. So you were just like trying to figure out what it is that you have to do. So it wasn't clear. And so anyways, I started that way. That was my first introduction. So they trained me, and they trained me just with the steps, And I think the people I taught know this story where I was just like for hours in the house trying to get that little bouncing groove. That's all I did for hours and hours, and then later like the points and this. So that was my introduction, and I think that everything kind of became like a network. It was like, when you see something and then everything connects. Soul Train, breaking, videos, music videos, Janet Jackson, like all of it, Michael Jackson. Everything was like, it's the same dance. Oh yeah, that's the one. My first crew called Comedy's Gang. And that's me, 1984, 85, it's like in between. That's Jesse's father there. And you see he has that whole Shabadoo earring. He was dressed like that. He had the whole look. I was still wearing my jazz pants and I was barefoot. See? Yeah, I was just like still a jazz dancer, Yeah, Sergio, that was what we wore in those days. That's like 84. So we came in, and we did shows. I was 14 years old, and I performed in Montreal clubs. Because back then, if you were a good dancer, you could perform in Montreal clubs. Even though you're not allowed to be there, you could still be there performing. So we did a whole bunch of shows. But yeah, I had no idea that there was a crew before us called Shakka Brothers. That's not the story. I don't know who wants to talk about that, but thank you.
Pleasure.
Because I did see you on TV, and it was kind of like seeing you you know. I saw DKC's crew on TV too, and that was a big like, wow, these guys are breaking on TV in Montreal. But you gotta remember, I was living in Montreal North. It's a French place, nobody speaks English. He's living in the
Point St. Charles.
Point St. Charles? Like we didn't know that the world existed outside of our own world. You know, you're just like, nobody's locking, I'm the only one, you know? And I was a long time the last one of the lockers from my generation, which is 84, because those guys, they all went to jail. You know, they were bad boys. I was in a ghetto Montreal North, so those who know the story of Montreal North and the gangs, I learned from gang members how to dance. You know, but that was our reality. All of the big brothers were like, that's what kind of saved me from the hood, but that's my story. You know? So anyways, yay!
Hello everyone. So my first connection with locking, I think was 88, 84, like, no, 84, 85. When I was in school, I see some dancers, but I was more into BMX. I was doing a lot of bikes and football, soccer, I was doing other things. So I get in touch with this, I saw it, I saw on TV also. They had a TV show called Hip Hop in 84, when you have the host showing you how to do a wave or baby freeze, and was the beginning of the hip hop culture coming to France. So I saw that, but I didn't really connect to it. I just tried maybe a few things in front of the TV, but I was not really into dancing. It's when I moved 5 years after, in 89, when I moved to another city, where I met a lot of dancers. That's why I saw, like, in the community center, we used to have parties, and that's why I saw all the dancers there, and that's why I decided to get into it more. So 89 is when I started to really want to get into it seriously. So at the time it was not many information, it was a VCR, and you have the movie Breaking, of course, all the Janet Jackson videos, where like the first little things you can see, and it was very fast to catch maybe 2/8 here or a few seconds here was very short. So everybody was mixing everything. It was not like clear what popping, what locking. It was like everything was mixed up, mostly. B-boying was more advanced. The top dance was a bit confused. We were more connected to New York and Ghetto Original, Mr. Wiggles, Rock City Crew. I think Paris was more connected with them. So we are more into electric boogie than popping or locking from the West Coast. And from then, you become just like getting to it, start to go to clubs and going more in clubs and share with the dancers over there. So yeah, it was 89 when I really started to get into it. So it was mostly what we call Smurf, like popping. At the time, people in France used to call that Smurf. Due to the TV, the video, do the Smurf with the white gloves. So people thought that this was called Smurf. And locking, we used to call that poppins. I don't know why, probably a bad translation. I don't recall anybody was with good English at the time, so it was like blurry. Something, poppins and lock and Smurf. So surrounded by dancers from the first generation who do the style we call jazz rock. It's like a footwork style from the 70s, mid-70s. It's the first generation in Paris. And then during the 90s, I started to connect with different dancers, as we probably know, people like Bruce, Walid, Regis. So our generation was at the same time, it was the early 90s. So that's the new jack swing, the acid jazz, the hip hop. All those clubs were crazy at the time, a lot of dance. So yeah, it was a lot of clubs sharing with everybody, and not much information besides very little parts in videos. And the movie Breaking, Body Rock, things like this, yeah. So we see some clips, and again, we are very connected with New York more than LA. LA was like the guys in battling Shabadoo and Ozone, Boogaloo Shrimp in the movies. So it was like just, we are very connected, more connected with New York. So that's the 90s, and so everybody was doing the Running Man, it's the clubs, lots of good clubs. And yeah, that was where we start to develop things. And I think the 97 is when the electric boogaloo came. And now we start to understand a bit more what was popping, locking, the styles. So the information came at the like 97, 98. So that's why we start to have a better understanding. That's for the big lines. Yeah, thank you.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me, by the way. I first saw locking, I actually saw it, just didn't know what it was, but when I moved to California from New York, so even though I'm from California, I have a New York accent. You can tell. I saw locking for the first time at a teen club in California. There was a club called the LTD. It was like 14 to 18 or something like that. And that was the first time I saw a group called GEMINI Action. As soon as I saw that dance, I was not a dancer. I was like, what is that? I want to learn that. So I went over to them after the show and I said, oh, no, I want to know what that is. Can you teach me? And they go, we don't teach people that dance. You have to learn on your own. I was like, okay. So me being from New York with a bad attitude, I'm like, oh, that's it. Now I'm going to learn that dance. So I come from a place called the San Fernando Valley, which is out of LA. And the only places they were really doing it were in LA. As Tash said, we're in the ghetto places. Now, I would watch TV, I'd watch Don Kirshner's rock concert and shows, and I would see the lockers, I just couldn't identify it. Once I saw GEMINI Action, then I knew it was them. I watched Soul Train as well, then I recognized the dance. Then I was watching that show, What's Happening, and there's Rerun, and he's doing it. Now it all made the connection. So now I started going to the black neighborhoods to learn the dance. And, you know, I'm like the only white guy around, so I'm going into the clubs with my friends, and I'm start calling people out. And so they would jump in the circle, and I'd do the best I could, and I would lose all the time, but while I'm losing, I'm like... Because we didn't have video cameras back then, and if they were like this big. And where I was not leaving with the camera, plain and simple. So, I kept practicing and practicing, and then I started watching TV and just seeking out the footage. Then I met other dancers. I went to a club called the Ozone, and then all of a sudden there's all poppers and lockers and GEMINI Action's there, but then there's another group called Body Magic, and I was like, who are these guys? And now I started watching them. They were amazing. So now I'm watching those guys, taking notes. And no one would teach back then, sorry to say, no one would really share the knowledge. Then I met Anthony Thomas, Terry Bixler, Jazzy J, and what I knew, I started teaching them. And then we started to practice. And then we got better and better. Hence, we started making different dance groups. So my first dance group was Dance Connection. Then I decided to go to school. Dancing was not my career. I didn't want to be a professional dancer. That's not what I wanted. But I wanted to go to school, so I kept doing that. They went on to do all the Janet Jackson stuff. They became the LA City Rockers. I went to school, but we're all still very close, even today. So my main influences, I would say, GEMINI Action, Body Magic, Rerun, and Shabadoo. Those were the people that I saw. Again, and I've been doing it since basically 1979. So in 2 more years, it'll be 40 years. And I've been doing it ever since. And I love it so much. I built a dance studio in my garage. And like Scramble said, people from all over the world come to my house and train with me. I just had the IP lockers from Taiwan. I had 23 of them in my garage with me. So this is what I do. So, and I actually met GEMINI in 2000. So I've been around for a long time. And that's it. That's who I am.
Thank you so much for sharing your history. Although it's been like years since you guys have been locking, when I talk to a lot of the young generation of dancers, I find that that's a lot of your history is the same. Even if things have changed, they all have the same, very similar stories. My brother was dancing. I went to a club. I saw a show. So I feel like we all have that connection with dance, right, when we start. Can you just please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about locking in Montreal?
Sit on my lap So, thank you. My name is Eugene. I'm from Ghana, West Africa. And my family moved to Canada when I was 6 years old. And basically, that's when I realized I was black. Because in Africa, I was just a human being, right? Anyways, that really fucked me up big time. Big time. And a lot of anger, a lot of hate towards white people, towards myself. And basically, it fucked me up so much that at one point, I really wanted to be white, right? I started hating myself really that bad. I used to get in fights all the time. I was fighting. At 14 years old, I remember it was nighttime, I walked the street, we're watching TV, it was the Playboy Awards. Playboy had awards. And then these dancers came on doing the most fucked up thing you've ever seen. My whole family, man. Even my mother was watching, even she freaked out, you know? And there was 9 of us, 9 kids, and my mother and father, that's 11 kids. Anyways, I seen the locker dancers, and it just blew my mind. And I looked at my brothers and sisters, and I said, we gotta do this shit, man. We went downstairs to the basement, and we're trying to figure it out, right? And one of us, okay, we're doing a lot of pointing. Okay, let's just point. Okay, we're doing a lot of this stuff. Okay, do that stuff. We're doing this. Okay, then, okay, there was stuff for the legs. They do stuff for the legs. And that's it, right? So we went, and we just practiced and practiced and practiced, and then watched Soul Train and all that stuff. And then we finally got a number together, and we did a number at the Negro Community Center in Burgundy. That was the first time we ever performed. I remember dancing, and everybody just freaking out, man. And I was like, wow, this is magic, this is powerful, you know? And basically, from that day on, it told me all the anger was still there, but I had to release for the anger, right? And just kept dancing, The scene back then was we would go to the Negro Community Center in NBG. We did a lot of shows there. Sometimes after school, we'll go there, hang out with the other dancers, where other people walk into, and we exchange information, but a lot of battling for sure. We definitely get together, we definitely would battle, do shows. In the later 70s with my brother, we go to nightclubs. One of the main nightclubs was called the Lorelei. It was huge, it was on Stanley Street. The dance floor was outrageous. Had a dance floor was, let's say, maybe like, I don't know, 20, 30 times the stage of this room. With the place where we danced, there was a balcony all around it, right? And a major stage, you know? So it was always packed. We go there on Saturdays, and a lot of other dancers would come, and we actually compete with each other. But certain songs would come on, people would clear the stage, other rockers would get down, you know? Not the stage, but the dance floor, make a big circle. So in that way, it was amazing. Yeah, we were called, first the Shakka dancers was me and my 2 sisters. We started from 74 to 76, and my brother joined us in 1977, and we became the Shakka Brothers. That's us up there. That's me and my brother. We performed with Born Noir. I don't know if you ever heard George Thurston, Born Noir, who was a major Quebec funk artist. Yeah, Born Noir. Yeah, we were his dancers, man. He was an amazing guy, you know. One time he was doing a show at Place des Nations, which down at Place des Nations, right? He was doing a show in 1977. And me, my brother, and my 2 sisters were dancing, right? And then he noticed that the audience was looking at us instead of looking at him. So he invited us up on stage to dance with him and stuff. And we became his dancers for a couple of years, you know. Wow. Yeah. So, but it's funny what to say TASH, because our main competition when we went to the Negro Community Center in NDG was actually a Haitian group, right? They were our main competition. I remember me and my brother, after we go home, we go, those Haitians, man. Seriously, man. Seriously, go, man. We gotta kick their ass. We can't take us like that. Yeah, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I think it's important for us to know about our own community too in Montreal. Tash is there, DKC. Thank you for sharing that.